Hello everyone. Today we are going through a walkthrough for this American Horror Story hotel. I found, I like this TV show very much. So I thought let's create this artwork which they have shown in American Horror Story hotel. I was watching through this and I really like the vintage look and the typography and the way the wallpaper looks and everything. So I thought of giving my own take through it. Today we would be discussing the lighting, the texturing. Texturing is not much. This is a very small walkthrough. You can see the details over here, like the dust detail I created, so it should look like little vintage kind of effect that this what you say neon signs are there from very long time. It should look something like this, that you can see small details on the wires, that there is a dust and everything going on. And on the wallpaper you can see there are many combination of textures I have used to make it a little bit more grungy. I've used Photoshop a bit, but it's not that much because I try to achieve the look in 3D itself. So we will talk about this and we will go through all the things which I did before and after this whole composition. Okay, so let's get started. So here is the screen. I will just go through the layout first. This is my main camera and the camera is reflecting in the Octane window. And this is my new panel which I created just to move around so that my camera over here is not affected. This is the main gist of the scene. Like, this is a dark HDRI, there is nothing inside, it's just to create a dark environment. This is a dust, we will talk about it more. The dust you can see on top of the wires and everywhere you can see. If I zoom in a little more, so you can see the dust over here. You can see how it is making it look more kind of old, used or stayed on some for a while over there. So it looks like this. Now the camera is clear, so you can see more clearly like the dust and everything. So that was one thing. Second, coming on the fittings is the file of all these wires and tubes. And the text is the main American Horror Story hotel which I created separately. So it's like in pieces so that it is more accessible and organized. I think everybody should do this because you can it helps you to manage your project more and you can go through the files very easily. So the front cam is locked right now because I end up moving many times. I think everybody does that, so I just locked it. There's a backdrop which is having this American horror story wallpaper, this one which I created. I think there are no extra unused materials. Yeah, there are no unused materials. These are the ones which I used. So let's discuss what I have done to create these things. Firstly, I think we should hide the dust and we should hide the fittings. Everything is gone, so the text is there. So let's just talk about American text. Yeah, that's it. So what I did was I went over here and I just went in my plain mode. I just had this image from a reference from Google. Then I just went in front mode and I created these splines. You can see the splines. It's just a matter of creating the angular splines, then clicking the points and using right click and chamfer. You can just select a single point, click on the point and just click on right click and chamfer. Obviously right now it won't work properly because obviously it's chamfered, already chamfered, right? So you can chamfer so to get these curves and round nice edges. And I deliberately gave it some roughness, like not the straight kind of splines. I just moved them here and there a bit because in the original picture which I saw, the splines were not exactly all the same. So I did that. Then I used a circle, and if you see the radius is just 3 centimeter. I just shared on the radius and just went into the sweep material, sweep, and added them these two in this hierarchy and didn't use any caps or anything, and just turned it on and it was there. So this is how I created my whole spline thing. Firstly I created that, then little bit difference was there in the hotel kind of horror kind of thing. So when you need to create O, there would be so many, these two dots in the original typography of horror. So these two dots are separately, at the bottom, like you can see over here. So what I did was, in the same spline, if I hide this, see in the same spline, when I completed this O, I just went and removed this, pressed this key and remove this using the escape key, remove the points, and then this is selected and I started to draw. Whenever you start to draw this, this is going inside one new spline. It's a basic thing. So this was connected like this. So again, the same thing which I did with American, the whole text, I use the same thing, same hierarchy, and use a circle with spline. In this you can see the circle is only 1 centimeter. Previously when I used the circle it was like 3 centimeter. It depends on how thin you want, because I think the 3 centimeter circle was getting too big for this O. So I just turned it down a bit and used 1 centimeter. And the typography it will take little bit time, because you need to make it look quite realistic, because if you don't do that, the whole point of creating this scene is lost, right? Because typography is the main thing which is in this whole scene. So I did that, and then the same thing happened with the story and the hotel thing. So I did the same thing with them. Now talking about the fittings, what I did was, with the fittings, I created, this is just normal cylinders. You can see this one. Okay, wait. Yeah, if I click this one, it will go so many times cylinder. So we can see what I did was, I just extruded this sometimes and got this. Use the metal texture, because I just selected this and put a selection tag on this. So this was separately selected, so I can just put a black all over and this metal thing only on this side. You can see over here it is a metal thing which is shining. Yeah, it just gives you a nice kind of reflection, because obviously there is a metal, there will be a nice reflection. So because the wire is made of rubber, so it was not giving us that kind of look which I wanted, but I wanted some reflection going on, so I used the metal material on the selection. So that's how I got this look. Coming back, so I created these all wires and everything using just cylinders and tubes. There's nothing fascinating going on, just cylinders and tubes. Again I went into the, what you say, front mode, and created this wires and everything. And wires, like naturally they were having this kind of roughness in the spline, because I didn't wanted them to be too straight and too, they should be a little bit rigid. They should be going here and there. The wires are never straight. So I created this, and you can see this kind of wire going on. Yeah, so this wire I created to go with this. All the reflections you are seeing is a part of this. I will come to the dust part at the very end, because I will tell you why. So once the wires are created, I started to put some textures around and see how the look is going to look. So I made this wire material, which is just a rubber. So what it has is actually nothing much. The gradient is going on. I will just push this little bit, just a second. Yeah, a gradient going on, in the roughness as well, because I don't want this to be too rough. And many of you will ask the question, like, why you don't want it to be too rough? It's not going to be seen in the scene. Why you are putting all this gradient and everything there? It's just that once you add the texture, you will know how the light will bounce, and adding the gradient will be very, very helpful in making the light bounce in a certain way. So this we will come across when we'll talk about more about dust and this American Horror Story wallpaper, the backdrop wallpaper which I created. So I will let you know about this once I remove and show you what's the difference between lighting, how it is looking different. So this rubber material is created like this. It's nothing fancy is going on. It's just index of 1.5, and that's it. Basic thing. So that's how I created this. Now coming back to the materials again. The metal is normal metal. There's nothing special going on. It's just that uh, I don't know why it's not showing properly. So it's just this metal having some kind of metallic and roughness going on, so that obviously again the how the light is going to bounce on it. So I wanted to make sure that the metal is proper. Creating a glass material is normal thing. Just go in specular and add glass material 1.5 what do you say index, and I think I increased the I checked out the fake shadow also because I wanted some little bit more realistic kind of shadows, so which usually fake shadows help us to get this. And now talking about the neon material, I have two neon materials. I don't know, maybe you guys have figured it out or not, but if you see that when the radius is too low, or maybe the models are too small, the lights reflect differently on the larger models and the small models. It's a basic thing. We have seen that many times. So going in this neon thing is just a diffuse material with the black body emission, and the spectrum I added this is just a not a specific value. I didn't got this specific value from anywhere. I just did a hit and trial thing, and I found out that this texture for the whole horror for the whole typography is working out. Same thing with the float texture. What the float does, if you just remove it totally, see the light is gone. So if you add float, you will have more control over the how much light you want to go out, and how much light the neon sign you want to show, and how much the brightness you want to show in the scene. And that's it. And the other neon sign is just again the same kind of texture. Is just I have increased the decreased the saturation a bit, because again the O is a smaller model, is a thin model. It is used 1 centimeter is used over here rather than 3 centimeters. So it was giving out more kind of brightness. So reduce that. I have to decrease the saturation a bit. I didn't play with the I think I didn't play with the power that much in this scenario. So I just played with the saturation to give this same kind of look and feel. Otherwise it was getting overblown and exposed. So I removed the saturation from there. So now let's coming to the main thing, like the wallpaper, the backdrop wallpaper. So this is a composite material. I'm sorry, this is looking like too messy. So what I will do is auto range. Yes, and I will just increase the size of this. Yep. Like this. So what I did was we have this composite, the blend material or something you can say, and in that material I added a basic sub material, and sub material is having this red color, which is the main color. When the red color, this red color is going to be this lines and everything, and this red color is going to be the back this back color, or the darker color inside the wallpaper. The image which is driving this whole wallpaper is just a simple image. You can see this. This is a image. I will show you. This image is simple black and white image. I found it on the internet. You can just go and search vintage wallpaper and everything. I got many colorful images. I just put in Photoshop and just use the what do you say, black and white filter, then added a little levels and curves, and crunched it so that these highlights, these main things are going to be more visible. So what is happening over here is, I will just delete this thing so that it doesn't come in way. Yeah, so in this we have created two basically sub materials which are like this is driving them, and I created a normal map, and the normal map is put in this material, and yeah, the roughness is having, I wanted different kind of roughness so that my texture looks like it's like not the flat kind of wallpaper, a very new wallpaper. I didn't wanted that because I had this dust going on the fittings. So what I did was I created this bump maps, different. There's a very good bump map from Polygon.com, scratches. So I use this and added in the bump. So we are seeing the normal, see the scratches going on over here. All the sides of the wallpaper, the scratches are going on. So these scratches on the top and on the sides, these scratches are made from this texture. And the roughness I added, roughness is there also in this first material also. So all these comprise to make this whole material. So I will show you what I did in the Photoshop also, but this was the basic gist of me creating this whole what you say wallpaper, how I did this and everything. So basically that's the only lighting which was affecting the scene, and this is the only lighting which is affecting the scene. You can see there's a darker HDRI just to create a darker environment. There is no HDRI or anything going on because obviously you want a dark look, you want a grungy look, so I don't want to put any other light which is going to affect my this nicer scene, nicer lighting going on. So to have this, now you can see I can do one thing. I can just go to what you say compare and store AB. So now this is stored and enable comparison. So if I remove this, wait, I don't know why the store AB is not working. Store render buffer. Yep. Enable comparison. Let's remove that. Yep. So store render buffer is with dust, and I will just remove the dust. So one scene has a dust now and one scene doesn't have the dust. So let's see. If you see this, the dust, you can see very slightly there's a small detail going on, but whenever you see, you will think like why to add this detail. But if you see very closely, you can see this is just a black kind of tube, and it was looking very weird. To make it look like realistic and what you say, kind of convincing that this is a very old kind of wallpaper, I added dust on them. So the dust is now, you can see how it is going between and showing off the both kind of sides. This is showing like this is just black without the dust, and this is with dust. You can see, you can feel that something is going on. This is quite old. This is like these small details matter, because if you don't do these small details, then your artwork will not stand out. I feel that. So yeah, just closing the comparison and going back in this. So what I did in dust was is just an Octane scatter, because Octane scatter can handle the particles very easily, the clones very easily. So it's just like that. If I create 1 million particles also, the Octane doesn't crash. It's a very nice thing. That's why one of the main reasons of me using Octane is that it can handle clones very well. So it's just a particle. It's having 7,000 particles, and I think 7,000 particles is too much. If you see the normal Octane cloner, it just hangs out at after 1,000 or 2,000. So I feel that Octane can handle 7,000 very easily. It handles millions of particles very easily. So 7K is nothing. So coming back here, these, what are these? These are very small kind of hair material. If I click over here, yeah, just a minute. Yep, and I get a little bit more room, and I will just close the backdrop for you and close everything else so that it is not coming in between our and just go here. So that's it. It's just the hair. This small thing, that I created a spline and added a circle with the 0.005. 0.005 is like very small, so it's a hair. Same thing again, another spline. I can just go here, a different kind of spline going on, and a platonic object. It's very small, and I don't know you guys are able to see it, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to make it tiny so that the camera is now tiny. Hopefully we are able to see it. It's too close to the camera, I think. Yeah, from here you can see there's a dot. Is that small? Is that small? So platonic object, I had two different kind of platonic object. One is very small and one is little bit bigger than the other one. See this one. And I don't know why this is very small, it can't be seen in the screen, but this we can. It is a little bit big, so we can see this kind of, it looks nothing, it looks like wow, how can this be a dust or something, but these are very small, and when you create so many particles with them, then they are looking quite convincing. For example, now if I unhide them and add the backdrop, you can see the small dust, you can see these, and when they are very combined in the very large form, like 7k, 10k, 50k particles, 50k clones, then they look much more convincing, they look much more like dust. And what I did was I added effectors in this, a plane effector, plane scale effector, and the random effector. Plane scale effector is nothing, is just scaling the all the what you say, all the objects inside this to a particular level, like 0.05 or zero point 0.5. And random is, again, random is like we can just go from this number between the actual height randomly, and they will just move in all the directions. So obviously if I won't put render, the splines are going to be straight or just vertical, just like that. But if they are having this kind of random movement in which rotation is 360, everything is 360, so automatically every time I put another Octane scatter, they will have a different look. So this was the look I was trying to go with, and that's it for the main scene. I will just go with this dust material. I don't think so there's a need for going that. It's just a white material with some opacity on it, so that it is looking like transparent, because obviously the dust is transparent, but it is not that transparent, right? You can see the object, but still you cannot see the object because they are so small particles. So it's a kind of nice thing to do. So that was the dust. And coming back to the lighting of the scene, lighting, I told you already, we discussed it, but the camera. So camera, what I had in the camera is I enabled the denoiser. I think that's the very best thing of Octane. Another best thing, that is a denoiser. It handles noises and it handles sampling very in a good form. And what I did over here was I added the response to this. You can see F250CD. This was the look. There are so many you can choose. This was the look I wanted to go for. And there is a custom LUT also. This LUT is from Osiris. Uh, it is not expensive. It is like they have like 7-8 kind of LUTs going on, and I put the strength on point 3. So this LUT is very nice. I can show you that. See if I am increasing and decreasing, how it is affecting my scene. For me, this kind of strength and everything was fine, and I did saturate to white a bit, 0.05, something like that, because I wanted my neon tubes not to look just all yellow or orangish or all white. So this was a little breakdown I did to cut off from between, and that's it for the camera. And the post processing is nothing. You can see it's not that much. You won't even feel that there's a post processing going on, because I wanted it to be a little subtle. I didn't want it to be that high powered post processing. So this is a very subtle post processing. If you see very light shift, you will see in the scene, because I wanted to do that in Photoshop. Yeah, so that's the scene. So this is the Photoshop file. What I did was I will just go through it very fast. There is a this is the layer, the original picture I took. You can see everything is done in 3D itself. I just added some vibration and everything, vibrance and everything. It's just that I can do that in 3D itself. There is no use of doing this, but I tried to do it small things in Photoshop, because sometimes you don't get actually, because of the screen difference, you don't get actual vibrance and everything what you are looking for. So edit can spoil the render. So sometimes for small things which I want to do is just like +8 and +3 saturation. So these are not very big kind of difference. I could easily do that in 3D itself, but it's just that it's very handy to do this in Photoshop, because if you don't like it, you can just change it. Otherwise I have to go back again and render everything out again, so I don't want that. So, and this is a grunge file. I will just show you this is a grunge file. Again, this texture can be added in 3D as the masking thing I showed you in the AHS material. I can add this over there in roughness and I can play with it. It's just that I wanted, you can say, I was not convinced enough that I want that thing or not. And still you can see this is like only on 79% opacity. And what I did was, you can see this breakdown of the lighting is going on. You can see this thing is going on, and it helped me to create this kind of feel, because exactly I was not able to get where I want to get it. So that's why I use Photoshop. Otherwise, again, you can do it in 3D itself. And I masked it out and used some white color on it, and highlighted it wherever I want it. So that's the mask you are seeing. That's it. And that's how I created this whole American Horror Story hotel typography with this grunge kind of look. Thank you everyone for watching. Please do like, subscribe, and please do watch all the videos on the channel. Hope it helped you out. Thank you.